After the war, 1947, and the next very notable car was the Renault 4 CV, which became very, very popular.
During the occupation of France, this car was secretly worked upon. At the end of the war, the factory was in a right state. Louis Renault was imprisoned for collaboration and subsequently died. After the war, there was nothing left, and the French motor industry looked to the two little prototype 4CVs as the basis of the new Renault company after the war. The engine in the 4CV is a wet liner aluminium head engine of 750 cc's. This engine was the unit that was applied in the front-wheel drive concept in the Renault 4 in 1961. Renault tried to develop that car by putting a pretty body on it. So the Renault 6 was an attempt to make the Renault 4 more user-friendly. CV means 4 horsepower. Chevaux is French for horse, horsepower. 4CV, 4 chevaux. And I think the overall shape of the car shows its link with the Beetle. Some people mistake that it looks a little bit like the Morris 1000 and has copied the Morris 1000, but it did come about before the Morris 1000. In 1946, the first production cars were available. The colour of the first cars was pale yellow. Basically, it was paint left over from the war, and it actually gave the car its first name, and that was the Butterpat. It was set out in the first place to appeal to the average Frenchman, and it's fair to say that from a maintenance point of view, it was extremely simple, very, very conventional, and with 3 basic spanners and a grease gun, many, many miles were achieved. The car is great fun to drive. It's nearly as quick round corners as it is in a straight line. Top speed is only 55, a very, very simple form of independent suspension that provides a comfortable ride. The brakes are very, very good. Vision is very, very good apart from out of the back window. It's a genuine 4-seater, not much longer than a Mini. The family car was a Renault. I washed it, I serviced it, I learnt to drive in a Renault. My first vehicle was a £34 10 shillings Renault 4 van, brush painted bright yellow. I suppose really I've stuck with Renault because there's something individual about the cars of the 50s and 60s that I like. At the same time, it's nice to be different.
Renault's advertising in the 50s was fun advertising. It was brightly coloured, it included cartoon characters, and the whole presentation was very much in the French tradition of enjoying advertising and enjoying the cars. For example, the brochure showed an Alpine scene on the front where people were obviously having almost a Tintin-type adventure. Inside you've got cartoon characters, and then in a full double-page spread you've got lots of very cheerfully coloured cars looking cute and looking attractive.
The 4CV was the first car from Renault for the masses, and it achieved great popularity. To follow that was a very special car, which really made a big impact and moved the company further along the line of success.
This is my Dauphine, affectionately known as Daphne in the family. I've had her since about 1986. It's sculpture, it's Gaelic sculpture, pure French beauty, just like Brigitte Bardot, 1960s French girl, look at it. It was designed from a Frenchman's head, not a computer. Oh, what more could you want? The front, down to the little air intake grills, Beautiful. The badge on the front, the Renault badge, is a beautiful design feature, and just looking at it, the workmanship and the thought and design, it should be in the Louvre. It really should, or at least the Tate. I bought it from a gentleman in Buckingham, not far from here. The engine was non-operable because it had been standing for a couple of years. Getting nuts and bolts undone that hadn't been undone for 30 years can be a problem. There were 3 that took me 3 weeks to undo. I got a second-hand engine, completely stripped that, reassembled it, found it was okay, and painted everything, which I found later was a mistake because nothing earthed. So I had to take things off, horns off, lights off, things like that. Usual mistake, I would imagine. When you have the lights on, heater on, windscreen wipers on, you know, it tends to go flat quickly. But you do have a starting handle with it, which causes quite a lot of laughs to young lads who've never seen one. But it's been very, very reliable. I love it.
Although some of the shots in the Dauphine brochure show cars on rugged roads, clearly that isn't their target group, because the cars are also shown in soft pinks and bright yellows and pale blues. And unfortunately, Renault didn't seem to know who they wanted the car to sell to or what image they were presenting.
Driving the car can be quite interesting. Being rear-engined, the car gets very tail-happy. You have to be very careful going into bends. When you do push it round corners, the rear wheels tend to tuck in like a pair of duck's wings, and you can feel the car rolling over. Hence, lots of people used to say to me, we had one, but we rolled it. Another problem is with all drum brake systems like this, in hot weather like today, you do tend to get an awful lot of brake fade, as I have experienced in the past, and the brakes stop working. That can be quite alarming, going down a hill with something coming towards you. But as long as you realise all these things, there's no real problem driving them. You just have to modify your driving from modern day cars to an old car. Of course, it's only got 3 gears. Crash on first gear, and so you've only got synchromesh on the other 2. So effectively, you've only got 2 gears when you're moving. Of course, that causes problems, but you can go down to about 5 miles an hour up to about 35 in second. Anything after that, it needs top. It does take a little bit of winding up to get up to speed, but it will keep up to legal motorway speeds. It will cruise all day at 70. The name Dauphine came from the Dauphine Alps in France, and the engine was also named after a mountain, Mount Ventoux in France. The Dauphine was used very successfully in rallying in the late 50s and in the 60s. It won the 1958 Monte Carlo Rally, which when you look at it, you wouldn't think it, would you? Daphne has become part of the family. Martine, my wife, she loves it. We go out picnicking together. You know, it's just pure enjoyment for everybody. And being a bit of an exhibitionist, she likes it. She likes being looked at as well as the car. Give the little royal waves, things like that. She loves it.